Wherever you are, I welcome you to this very live broadcast tonight. I am Pastor Maxwell Nnawuihe. When you look at the caption, you will see it is a very simple and very understandable caption. UN judgment that released Mazi Namdi Kanu. UN judgment that released Mazi Namdi Kanu. Mazi Namdi Kanu is the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. He was extraordinarily renditioned from Kenya to Nigeria on the 27th of June 2021. And since then, he has been held bound in the DSS dungeon in Abuja, Nigeria, contrary to all human rights and, of course, his rights to freedom of expression and freedom of speech. He is calling for the peaceful referendum of Biafra in order to liberate Biafra from Nigeria, that Biafra may become an independent republic in the sub-Saharan Africa. The judgment of the United Nations was communicated to the Nigerian government and, of course, the Kenyan authority, ordering the Nigerian government to release Mazi Namdi Kanu immediately within 6 months and pay him adequate compensation. That very judgment has not been complied with till today. And, of course, in our previous broadcast of today, we brought to your understanding that there is a Hamas leader in Nigeria walking free, having interviews in national televisions in Nigeria, defending and being so proud of the attack of the Hamas against Israel on the 7th of October 2023, speaking out and also being so boastful of that very attack on Nigerian televisions, national televisions, Channels TV to be precise, and some other major mainstream media houses in Nigeria. Nigeria Info, we also saw the same man, Dr. Ghazi Hamad, a Hamas spokesperson, a key leader in Hamas. Whereas in the same country, Namdi Kanu is held in the DSS dungeon in Abuja, Nigeria, who has not killed anybody. This very judgment exonerated him from all forms of charges that the Nigerian government preferred against him. Our Father in heaven, I, Pastor Maxwell Nnawuihe, I call on you. Come and turn things around for the people. My faith is in you. Oh Lord, I call on you today. Come and turn things around. Come and turn things around. Turn things around. Come and turn things around for your children. Jehovah Jireh, turn things around. You are suffering all over Nigeria. Ndị na-azụ ahịa Asabama, ndị na-arụ ọrụ na Gafofo, ụmụ Igbo nọ na mkpọrọ. Namdi Kanu nọ na nga, eziokwu nọ na nga. Onye na-enweghị ihe o nwere, akpọrọ ya tọgbọrọ na nga. United Nations judgment has set him free on this thing. Ojesano bata Chineke, anyị atụọrọ gị mma. Ebubemu, igirigi. Psalms 50, verse 15. Call upon me in the days of trouble. I will answer you and show you great and mighty things you don't know. When the righteous man is seated upon the throne, everywhere you go, there is joy. I am bringing to the screen that very judgment. I am bringing to the screen immediately that very judgment of the United Nations that released Mazi Namdi Kanu. Mazi Namdi Kanu is a free man, whether they believe it or not. The Igbos and the legal team of Namdi Kanu should continue to campaign and press home the need for the Nigerian government to comply with the UN judgment, instead of going to the court for any other legal proceedings. What they should be asking for now is that the Nigerian government should comply with the United Nations judgment, because that is the highest judgment, highest justice anybody could receive anywhere in the world, more especially from such a global body that speaks for the international community. That is what the legal team should be talking about right now. Not going for any other hearing, not going for any other legal proceedings or processes in Nigeria on behalf of Nnamdi Kanu. I am bringing to the screen, because we don't have so much time today. We may continue some other day. I am bringing to the screen that very judgment, the authentic copy of it, the original copy of it. Some of you may not have seen it before, but this is the UN judgment that released Mazi Namdi Kanu. I'm going to scroll to the top. You can see what is written there. Advanced unedited version. You can see 20th July 2022. You can see what I'm shedding here, what I'm highlighting, original English, is to let you know that this is not one of those internet documents that doesn't have a reliable source. This is the UN judgment that released Mazi Namdi Kanu. I want you to understand it. Don't allow anybody to distract you from the truth. The legal team of Nnamdi Kanu, what they should be talking about right now is that the Nigerian government should comply completely and totally without any reservation with the UN judgment that released Mazi Namdi Kanu. The case of Nnamdi Kanu has ended, both in the court of Nigeria, Federal High Court, Appeal Court, Supreme Court, and why it ended in his favor was because of the influence of this very judgment we're seeing on the screen. This very judgment of the United Nations comprises about 114 paragraphs. I am scrolling down for you to see the entire paragraph, and after that, we're going to be taking it one after the other. This is the 80th paragraph. This is paragraph 80. I'm scrolling down to the bottom of the document that you may see the entirety of this very powerful judgment. This is the last paragraph of it, 114. At the bottom of it, you will see adopted on 4th April 2022. This very judgment and opinion of the United Nations was adopted. It was adopted between the 30th of March 2022 and the 4th of April 2022. It may interest you to know that in the month of January, on the 2nd of it, to be precise, being Sunday 2022, we started what we call 3 consecutive months of spiritual exercise for the release of Mazi Namdi Kanu. By the grace of God, I was the convener of that very marathon prayer exercise. I led our church, God's Praise International, the appointed place, for 3 consecutive months, fasting and praying every week. All the days that we are marked out to fast and pray in each week of the month, the 4 weeks of each month, from the month of January, the month of February, and the month of March. The fasting and prayer ended on the 31st day of the month of March 2022. Before that 3 consecutive months of spiritual exercise ended, this judgment came. This judgment is the first of its kind since the end of the civil war between Biafra and Nigeria. You know that Biafra and Nigeria, there was a civil war that lasted for about 3 years thereabout, between 1966 and the 1970. from the 1970 until 2022, when the judgment came from the United Nations in the favor of Nnamdi Kanu, there has not been any other judgment or such document that commands global attention in the favor of Nnamdi Kanu or in the favor of Biafrans. This very judgment did not come from ECOWAS. This judgment did not come from America. It did not come from any of the Israeli court. It didn't come from the Turkish government. It did not come from any other apart from the United Nations, the most revered global body that speaks for the international communities. This is a landmark victory. Of course, the international attorney of Mazi Namdi Kanu, in the person of Bruce Fein, was the one that went to the UN to file the document, and the processes ended in the favor of Nnamdi Kanu. He was being sponsored by the IPOB Biafran Women Group, led by Madam Bridget Okafor, Rising Sun Charity Foundation, and of course a couple of other people, just few in number, that supported the movement, that supported the legal process, and of course, with spiritual momentum that was generated through our fasting and prayers, relentless, the victory came as God promised that he would do. But unfortunately, due to jealousy, envy, greed, some people refuse to give credit and of course acknowledge this very judgment and embrace it with open arms and press home for the need of the Nigerian government and of course the entire Biafran people, whether home or abroad in the diaspora, to embrace it and stand on that very judgment. Some people decided to play politics with it because the judgment didn't come through them. Some people decided to stand in the way to oppose it, to silence it, because they were not instrumental to the achievement of this very global, this very legendary, historic, remarkable judgment from the United Nations. I'm bringing back the screen to you. We don't have so much time today. This is the opening of this very enlightenment broadcast. I remain Pastor Maxwell Nnawuihe. I'm the leader of the Gospel's International, the appointed place. Back to the document. Now, as you can see, by your left, you see Human Rights Council Working Group on Arbitrary Detention. Human Rights Council Working Group on Arbitrary Detention. This is an arm in the United Nations. Okay? Advanced unedited version. This is the date it was made official. But remember that this very judgment was adopted unanimously by this very group and this very global body on the 4th of April 2022. Adopted on 4th April 2022. So, as our 3 months fasting and prayer was about to end, God crowned it with success. Between the 30th of the last month of the fasting and prayer and the 4th of April 2022, the victory came. As you can see, let's go back again to the top of the document. And from there, we will be coming down step by step, paragraph by paragraph, to see the content of the UN judgment that released Mazi Namdi Kanu. Wherever you are, I am still Pastor Maxwell Nnawuihe. Share this very broadcast. Today is the 23rd of February 2024. You can see the caption of it. Opinions adopted by the Working Group on Arbitrary Detention at its 93rd session, 30th March to 8th April 2022. It is not a coincidence that as soon as our prayer was about to end on the 31st of March, 2022, God crowned it with success. This kind of judgment has never been released anywhere in the world that commands such international and global attention in the favor of the Biafran people. When Mazi Namdi Kanu was outside broadcasting, he said several times that any time that the case of Biafra is mentioned in any global, either global forum, EU, United Nations, and such corridors of power that has influence to press home for the freedom of Biafra, that they usually walk out. They don't discuss it. They avoid discussing it. But when the prayers were going on, for the first time, they sat down and began to discuss it. Not only discussing it extensively, painstakingly, taking into consideration all the facts that were raised, they passed a judgment in the favor of Nnamdi Kanu, in the favor of Biafra. That is victory. When you proceed, you will see opinion number 25/2022 concerning Mr. Nwanne Nnamdi Kenny Okukano, Nigeria and Kenya. Very, very important that you follow up. This is the paragraph 1. We are not going to exhaust it today. This enlightenment program is beginning today, but it's not going to be completed today because this document is very, very lengthy and the content of it will not be exhausted in a single broadcast. Look at the paragraph 1. By the way, anywhere you hear this song that is playing in the background right now, download it. This song was released for Mazi Namdi Kanu in solidarity to him, in solidarity to all the people who are suffering in Nigeria, as you can see what is going on in Nigeria now, and also in solidarity with all the people, whether they are in Nigeria or outside Nigeria, who are in pain, who are going through one challenge or the other. And by the grace of God, I am the person that released the song. I am the artist that released the song. Very, very important. Our Father in heaven, I, Pastor Maxwell Nnawuihe, I call on you. Come and turn things around for the people. My faith is in you. Oh Lord, I call on you today. Come and turn things around. Come and turn things around. Turn things around. Come on. All right, we must continue. You have heard the song. Wherever you hear it, whether the video or the audio of it, kindly download it, play it, use it in your prayers. God will answer you and turn things around for you. Also, that God may come and turn things around in the favor of Nnamdi Kanu, that he may be able to attend to himself. He need urgent heart surgery. He need urgent heart surgery. He's a free man. He has no business remaining in the DSS dungeon in Abuja, Nigeria. Back to the document. Paragraph 1, what does it say? The working group on arbitrary detention was established in Resolution 1991/42 of the Commission on Human Rights. In its Resolution 1997/50, the Commission extended and clarified the mandate of the working group. Pursuant to General Assembly Resolution 60/251 and Human Rights Council Decision 1/102, the Council assumed the mandate of the Commission. The Council most recently extended the mandate of the working group for a 3-year period in its resolution 42/22. Let's go to the second paragraph. Remember, if you are just joining us now, I am sharing with you the UN judgment that released Mazi Namdi Kanu. And remember, as I said, this very judgment will not be exhausted in a single broadcast. We will continue some other day. Paragraph number 2. In accordance with its method of work, on 30th December 2021, the working group transmitted to the government of Nigeria and Kenya a communication concerning Mr. Nnamdi Kanu. The government of Nigeria replied to the communication on 25th January 2022, while the government of Kenya did not reply. Both states are parties to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Nigeria, Kenya, they are all parties. They are all signatories to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. In other words, the Nigerian government is subject to comply with this very UN judgment that released Mazi Namdi Kanu, whether they like it or not. The Nigerian government replied to this very communication from the working group on the 25th of January, as we have read now, while the government of Kenya did not reply. It was on the Kenyan soil that Mazi Namdi Kanu was abducted, kidnapped, extraordinarily renditioned from Kenya to Nigeria. For those of you that don't know who is Mazi Namdi Kanu, I'm going to bring the picture to the screen. This is the man, Mazi Namdi Kanu. He is the man. He is the one that has been held down in the DSS dungeon in Abuja, Nigeria. He is the man that this very United Nations judgment has released, as we shall see in other paragraphs as the broadcast proceeds or concludes today, continuing some other day. Back to the document, and we are closing in few seconds. Remember where we are stopping today? The paragraph 2. We shall continue with the paragraph 3 in the next broadcast some other day. Goodbye from here, and God bless you greatly. Goodbye from here. Our Father in heaven, I, Pastor Maxwell Nnawuihe, I call on you. Come and turn things around for the people. My faith is in you. I can lead the other one. Oh Lord, I call on you today. Come and turn things around. Come and turn things around. Turn things around. Come and turn things around for your children, your child.